Hi, welcome to Mr. Dyer's Musings. I'm Mr. Dyer, and today we're going to be taking a look at a vintage, what I think is early 1930s sleeping bag. Really excited about this. Let's check it out. As always, I'd like to thank my wife and family for their unconditional support. I'd like to thank my students, my viewers, my scouts, my subscribers, all of you guys for making this channel possible. We're almost at 300 subscribers. Thank you so much. When we started this channel last year, I didn't think I'd be doing it, still. And here we are, and I'm enjoying it. I hope you guys are enjoying the videos and getting something out of it. If you're new to my channel, check out all my other videos. I have a bunch of Civil War videos and also vintage scouting videos where we take a look at artifacts just like this, and we examine them, talk about them, and we enjoy it. So like I said, this is a 1930s sleeping bag, and what's really cool about it is that it has snaps instead of zippers. Now the Boy Scouts made one exactly like this, a model, but it had a zipper on it, and I don't have the catalog to exactly narrow this particular item down. But in my research, I did find that in the 1920s, They didn't have sleeping bags. At least the scouts didn't produce sleeping bags. Sleeping bags have been around for a long time. It's not a new concept, but they were really expensive in the early 1900s. And the scouts in their catalogs only sold wool blankets. They did not sell sleeping bags until after the 1920s. So that's where I'm thinking that this is early 1930s, because in the later 1934, 1936, they have sleeping bags, but they all have zippers. None of them talk about having a snap. And they have this exact same model layout, which is really cool. And it is set up just like how it was designed for. So originally, the idea was that these sleeping bags were waterproof. So if a scout didn't have a tent, they could still go out camping, use this, and if it has a little bit of a downpour or something like that, they're not going to get terribly soaked. Inside of it, it does have a wool type material, wool padding, and it has some really unique features. When I camped out last night with my son, it dropped down to about 34 degrees, and then with wind chill, I don't know how much colder it got, but about 1:30 in the morning, I decided it was just too cold. Some of you might be thinking, well, why did you not tough it out? So let me talk about that. Some of the great founders, or I can't say founders, but the most influential people of the camping movement, woodcraft, campcraft movement in the early 1900s, including Ernest Kephart, Lord Robert Baden-Powell, and Mr. Seton, who was also a founder of the scouting movement, all said basically the same thing. When you go camping, you're doing it to get away from it all. You're doing it to enjoy yourself, to have some fun. You're not doing it to rough it. Now, some people, they like pushing the boundaries, and I've done that. But camping in the early 1900s was not about making yourself miserable. It's about getting outside, enjoying nature, and nature study. And if you have a bad night's sleep, then that's going to defeat a lot of the purpose of the campcraft experience. So I did go in, I got my other sleeping bag. When I checked it, it was, like I said, about 34 degrees about. Um, this sleeping bag would be comfortable for summer, late spring, early fall, right up to about 50 degrees. If it hits about anything below 50 degrees, especially with the vents on the side not being closed up, it has a draft, it gets kind of chilly. I had my wool blanket with me, and I use that to try to close off the side. And Ernest Kephart also said it's always good to have 2 lighter wool blankets instead of 1 really heavy wool blanket. So that didn't really help me too much. But like I said, it's a great sleeping bag, and it has some really neat features that I'm really excited about. Let's take a closer look. So this is the inside of the sleeping bag cove area. And if we take a look, you can see that there's 2 pockets on the side. So a scout could put maybe their glasses or other personal equipment in there that they wanted to get to rather quickly, maybe a flashlight, bug repellent, something like that. And I have my 2 sticks on the side to prop them up. If we look at the snaps, what's really interesting to me, trying to date this thing, is those are not Boy Scout snaps. They're just kind of a generic sun type snap. If we look up here, you can see the Boy Scouts of America logo. And has a drawstring. So if we take a look back here, you can see the snap that comes off. The inside here opens up so you can stuff it with grasses or leaves or straw, so you'd have yourself a little bit of a mattress. I think that's really neat. And my son and I discovered that this cinch, if you tied it up just like so, it could kind of make its own wrapping. You don't even need to tie it like I have on the other side. The other side's missing the drawstring, so we'll have to fix that, but that works out really well. let's take a look and see how we roll it up. There you go. That weighs about 7, 8 pounds maybe. It's a pretty nice little sleeping bag. That's what I love about doing this stuff, whether it be living history in the Civil War or doing living history for scouting or anything else. You know, even just experimenting in my backyard like I'm doing this weekend. And you always want to test out gear before you take it out camping, because you don't want to be surprised when you're actually out somewhere, which is one of the reasons why I want to test this out here in this controlled environment in my backyard, instead of going out camping with my kids and knowing what the temperature is going to be like. This thing's not going to keep me comfortable. But experimental archaeology, experimental living history, it's really, really awesome. You get to learn so many nuances about things. And the cool thing about 20th century stuff, you know, antique 20th century stuff, it's still out there. It's still in usable condition. I don't feel too bad about camping out with us last night or taking it to camp out and using it, because it's not too fragile. Now there's some tears there, and there's some things I want to do to abuse this artifact, but it's still in good enough shape that I can use it. This tent that's right next to me, it's a World War II tent. It's an original World War II tent. And last night when I was buttoning it up, you know, the fabric's kind of brittle. It's almost 100 years old. So you got that kind of things to deal with. But this stuff you can't do with American Civil War gear. I mean, there's some rifles out there that people will use out in the field, but for the most part, it's just too valuable. It's just too brittle. So you really don't get the honest experience of what it was like for our grandfathers, great-grandfathers, etc. That's what I love about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I think it's really cool, and I hope you do too. If you liked it, please click like. Check out my other videos. If you haven't done so already, please click subscribe so you can join us for future experimental archaeology videos like this. And we'll catch you again later. Have a great week. Give a kiss, hug to your loved ones, and take care.